So one question I get asked a lot is about core exercises and what core exercises I should be doing. And before we get to the exercises, the first thing we have to establish are kind of answering two questions. Number one, what does core do? And number two, what is it? So let me start with the second one. When we talk about core, most people think of your abdominal wall, and that is certainly an important part of core. But the way I define core would be everything kind of from my mid-chest down to my mid-thighs, surrounding my entire body. So the abs are one important part of that, but that also includes these muscles that are surrounding your hip, the erector spinae muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, and a number of other muscles. The other thing about core is what it does, and its main function is to stabilize you. And so when we pick core exercises, we want to try to find exercises where your core is stabilizing while your limbs are doing some movement, because that's functionally what your core is actually supposed to do. So as we choose those exercises, one way I like to think about this is dividing your core into three compartments: a front compartment, a side compartment, and a back compartment. And functionally, even though when we do each one of these exercises, we're really engaging all three compartments, some exercises focus more on one compartment than the other. So let's start with three exercises for the front compartment. So this would be primarily the abdominal wall. And we can start with our front planking. And I think all of you know what front planking looks like. You know, the objective of planking isn't so much to be able to hold it for 3 or 4 minutes, but once someone has an aptitude of maybe 45 seconds to a minute in a front plank, we want to start to add some movement to that plank. So that may be in the form of some touches, some leg movement back and forth. You can be creative how you do that, but we want to add some movement to the plank. The second front compartment exercise I'm going to show you is a modified crunch. And in the modified crunch, we have one leg bent, one leg straight, and we're just bringing the shoulder blades off the ground. And then at some point about halfway through, we're going to switch leg position and do the rest of our crunches. So we like this crunch a lot better because it's much safer for the back. It keeps your hips in a more stable position. The third exercise for the front compartment is dead bug. And dead bug, I'm going to extend one leg at about a 45-degree angle. My other leg is going to be in the dead bug position. I'm going to take the opposite hand right above that knee, and we're just going to go back and forth, opposite arm to opposite leg in that dead bug position. So these are our three front compartment beginner exercises. For the side compartment, we're going to start with the side plank, which looks like this. If that side plank is a little too much, we can come down and stabilize on the off arm. But again, just like the front plank, we want to add some movement eventually to the side plank. So that could be in the form of doing some thread the needles. We could do some hip abduction in that side plank, but we want to add movement to it eventually. The other side compartment exercise I really like are doing some basic hip raises. I would do 10 of these. Some small hip circles, front, backwards, and then some bicycles. And these all work these hip abductor muscles that tend to be weak surrounding the hip. Then we get to the back compartment, and the one I usually start with in the back compartment is the pointer dog. So the pointer dog, we're in quadruped, and we're extending the opposite arm to opposite leg. We're coming back in, touching knee to elbow, and just working back and forth like that. Of course, we want to do equal reps on both sides. The second back compartment would be the back plank, one that we don't talk about a whole lot. In the back plank, we dig the heels in, we pick the hips up, and we keep the chin down. Again, kind of trying to hold this for 30 to 40 seconds. And finally, our two-legged glute bridge, where we're going to dig the heels in, pick the hips up and down. So those would be the beginner exercises. I would shoot to 8 to 12 reps in most of these exercises, except for the planks, where I would start with 30 to 45 seconds on the plank holds. In the next video, I'm going to give you some more exercises that are a little more advanced in nature. Thanks.